Hey, I'm Eli, 23, and I just finished college double major in computer science and business. Believe it or not, I was the first one in my family to even go to college, and I graduated at the top of my class. Most families would have thrown a party, right? Not mine. It was like, whatever. But if it was about my cousin Amanda's Etsy shop or my brother Jake's weekend football games, suddenly everyone had all the time and money in the world. Meanwhile, I was killing myself for 4 years, juggling scholarships, late-night internships, and part-time jobs that barely paid the bills. But I kept trying. I always tried, growing up in a family where getting attention was like winning the lottery. I learned to go overboard to get noticed. I mowed the lawn when Dad hurt his back. I picked up groceries when Jake forgot again. I even paid the heating bill last winter when Amanda overdrew her account and couldn't pay her rent. I was the good son, the helpful cousin, the quiet kid who always got good grades. And then graduation day came and went, not a single family member showed up. No phone call, no text, nothing. Not even a congrats. I figured I'd give it one last shot, see if I actually mattered to them. I used what little money I had saved and rented this rooftop place downtown. It wasn't fancy, but it had fairy lights, a great city view, and a sound system. I even ordered everyone's favorite food: Jake's teriyaki wings, Amanda's vegan pizza, and even Grandma's weird coconut shrimp. All I wanted was one night, just one night where people actually acknowledged me. Seriously, I even went all out and made digital invites with a Google Calendar reminder. I triple-checked with everyone a week before, then again the day before, all those "can't wait" and "you deserve this" messages. They gave me a little spark of hope, a stupid flicker I should have blown out right away. I got to the party an hour early. I needed to make sure the food was perfect, the drinks were ice cold, and my carefully chosen playlist was bumping. I wore my only decent suit, black, slim-fitting, the kind that barely hung on my shoulders 'cause I'd been stressing so much. I stood by the door, grinning like an idiot every time the elevator dinged, hoping to hear car keys. But nothing. 5 minutes stretched into half an hour, then a whole hour. The caterers kept giving me these awkward nods, not knowing whether to start cleaning up or not. I kept checking my phone, refreshing messages, looking at traffic, even telling myself maybe they were pulling some huge surprise, that this was all some elaborate prank. It was 8:47 p.m., and I was 3 Sprite cans deep, starting to think about just calling a cab and going home, when my phone blew up. A picture. Amanda tagged everyone: Jake, Mom, Dad, Uncle Ron, even Grandma. They were all in matching pajamas, piled on the couch at my parents' house, pizza boxes everywhere, blankets scattered around. The caption? "Family movie night, we needed this." My fingers just froze. I blew up my graduation picture on the screen. The photo I'd sent out to everyone weeks ago was hanging crookedly on the wall behind them, partially hidden by some leftover balloons from Amanda's last big work event. My throat closed up. There was no misunderstanding. They weren't running late. They weren't caught in a jam. They just weren't showing up. I didn't explode. I didn't break down. I just slumped into one of those folding chairs we rented and let the city's sounds try to fill the emptiness inside me. I went through every text, every empty vow, every half-hearted "we're so proud of you" that brought me to this point. The food got cold. The venue guy gave me this sympathetic look and said he wouldn't charge me extra for the time. I didn't say anything. I just nodded when I finally got home. Back to my own place, which I paid for with all the freelance work I crammed in while getting good grades. I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the ceiling. The very same ceiling I used to dream under. Dreams of getting ahead, going on trips, and having parties where they'd remember my name. And then it hit me. It slammed into me, like a light turning on in a dark room. They depended on me more than I ever needed them. That's when I got my laptop. I went into every shared bill account: the electricity, the internet, even that little streaming subscription I let Amanda use last year because she couldn't afford it. It was all in my name, every bill, every convenience, all because it made me feel like I belonged. I had to stop and think for a sec. It wasn't about getting even, really. It was about finally seeing things clearly. I realized that no matter how much I helped out with pizza runs and running errands, I was always going to be just some extra in their world. So I sent a quick group text: "Good luck paying the bills next month without me." Then I blocked everyone, every single one. But that wasn't the end, not by a long shot. 'Cause 3 days later, things got loud. Real loud. It started with a Facebook post from my mom. You know, those overly dramatic rants she posts, thinking she's some kind of strong person when it's really just about her feeling sorry for herself and trying to make you feel guilty. Some people forget who was there for them when they had nothing. Remember karma? No names, no tags, but the comments section went crazy right away. Aunt Linda put up a popcorn gif. Uncle Ron posted a spill the tea meme. And Amanda, like always, said, "Hope they realize family is forever. We're all we've got." I just watched it all happen like I was looking at a magazine I wasn't going to buy. I sort of thought anyone would reach out to me directly. Maybe Jake would send a lame, "Hey, you okay?" Or even Dad would act like he had no idea what was happening. But nothing, crickets, until the fourth day. That morning, my phone rang. It was a number I knew but hadn't seen in forever. My dad's work phone. I just let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again, and again. First, my mom blew up my phone, and then Amanda. Then a random text from Jake's girlfriend. She asked if something went down, cause she said she thought there was a misunderstanding. I didn't even bother with those, but the one that really got me, in a messed up way, pinged at 2:19 in the afternoon. My dad texting from his regular number. "Why is the internet down? I'm trying to get into work." No hi, no hey, Eli. Nothing about the party. No sorry, no nothing. Just a freaking complaint, a demand, proving I was nothing but tech support to them. I didn't answer. I wanted to, though. Oh, did I ever? I probably typed out 3 different responses, some full of rage, some sarcastic, one that was just a link to a therapist. But I just turned off my phone and went to the gym instead. I came home later to 3 voicemails. They were all increasingly panicked, especially my mom's, her voice all shaky. She didn't get what was happening. Dad couldn't get his paycheck stuff, and the smart TV was dead. Amanda couldn't access the family group. "Did something happen? Can we talk, please?" "Nope." "Still no, sorry we blew off your party." Still nothing close to, "We messed up, we should have been there." Just a bunch of little problems that suddenly made me important. By the end of the week, I started getting actual letters in the mail because I shut down all contact. Grandma's note was the first clue, shaky handwriting, all flowery and fancy, saying, "Eli, I don't get it, but everyone's freaking out. Call your mom, she's been crying for days." Crying? Seriously. Where was all that crying when I was up on that roof, staring at untouched shrimp and cake? Where were those tears when I sent out my graduation pics and got 3 measly likes, 0 comments? Where were they when I practically begged them for just one night with them? Grandma was the only one who hadn't been totally awful to me, though, so I called her. And that call, it made everything a million times worse. She picked up right away, this huge sigh of relief escaping her like steam from a tea kettle. "Oh, thank God, Eli, you had me worried sick." "I'm fine, Grandma," I said. "I know, honey, but your mother, she's a wreck." "Oh yeah?" I asked, trying to keep my voice even. "She says you've been distant, that you just shut everything down out of the blue." I gripped the phone tighter. "Did she mention my graduation party?" "No," Grandma said slowly. "She said something about a scheduling mess, that you threw something together last minute and didn't even check with anyone." My face burned. A scheduling mess? I had the receipts, the calendar invites, the texts confirming everything. I even had a voice memo from Amanda saying, "We're all set for Saturday. Can't wait." Now they were telling Grandma I hadn't even invited them properly. "Grandma," I choked out, my voice all shaky, "I sent them everything weeks ago." I covered everything, the place, the food, the whole shebang. I worked around everyone's schedules. They didn't forget, they just didn't show. More silence. Then, her voice real quiet, "I believe you, Eli." But my mom, of course she swore up and down I was lying. Because admitting the truth meant admitting she only cared when it was convenient for her. Grandma chimed in then, and her words just stuck with me for days. "You've always been the one putting in all the effort, Eli," she said. "Maybe it's time you let them try, for a change." I didn't say much after that. We said goodbye, and I promised to call her again. I really meant it. But I didn't change a thing. I didn't start paying them again. I didn't give in. Nope. I just started living like I was finally free. Because for the first time in a long time, I actually felt free. Except freedom's weird, you know? It kind of stirs up this desperate feeling inside you. And desperate people, we don't go down without a fight. Because a week later, something happened that turned my whole world upside down. It was a Thursday, mid-morning, all sunny and calm. I'd just gotten back from a meeting with a client, feeling surprisingly good, considering I'd just cut off half my family. My apartment was quiet now, and I was starting to really like it. No more blowing up texts, no surprise gifts with strings attached, no guilt trips disguised as love. Just me, the fridge humming, and my own peace and quiet. That is, until I saw that envelope stuck to my door. At first, I figured it was just a delivery thing or a note from the building, but nope, my name was scrawled across the front in this huge, messy marker. It was just there, stuck on the door, no return address, no stamp, slapped on like some kid playing a prank. I peeled it off real slow, ripped it open, and pulled out this typed sheet of paper. Double-spaced, all angry and formal. It said, "Eli, I don't know who you think you are, but this is way out of line. We've bent over backward for your whole life, and missing one party doesn't explain this. Your father's out of work, Amanda can't even watch Hulu anymore, and Grandma's freaking out. You're hurting the whole family because of something you made up. It's cruel and immature. I hope you're proud of yourself, Mom." No love, no sincerely, nothing. Just cold accusations like I was getting fired. I almost laughed. Almost. But then this awful feeling hit me, a slow burn that started in my hand and worked its way up my arm, tightening in my throat. That's when I knew. No apology was coming. No sudden realization, no heart-to-heart phone call, no crying on my doorstep. Nope, my mom wasn't the apologizing type. She was all about rewriting history, handing it out like it was the truth, and hoping everyone would just go along with it. And maybe they would have. Maybe Grandma, Jake, and the rest would have bought it like they always did with her half-truths. She'd gotten away with it for years, but not this time. I wasn't gonna keep quiet. That night, I dragged out the old graduation slides, the ones I'd made for the party. Nobody showed. I signed into a free website builder and just dumped all the pictures in. Then, I included screenshots of every single text message confirming the invites, the receipt from the rooftop place, and even the playlist I never got to use. Finally, I wrote one simple caption at the top. "Here's the graduation party you all missed. Not because you forgot," I typed, "but because I didn't mean enough for you to bother showing up." I put it up on my social media. I locked the comments, no tags or anything. Just a silent, permanent record of what happened, of how I celebrated all by myself. And holy crap, it blew up. Friends from college that I hadn't spoken to in ages sent messages saying they were completely crushed. I couldn't believe they were doing this. Even people I barely knew shared it, saying it was heartbreaking and the most honest thing they'd ever read. By morning, I had 3 missed calls from Amanda, 2 from Dad, and 1 voicemail from Mom. Her voice was shaking, but it still wasn't a real apology. "Eli, this is too far. You're humiliating us. Why are you doing this?" Why? Because for once, they got to feel what I'd felt my entire life. Ignored, unheard, invisible. That weekend, things got even worse. Amanda came to my apartment. I didn't open the door. She hammered on the wood for a full 5 minutes before yelling through it. "You're not the only one who's gone through things, you know? We all have our problems." I just stood there on the other side, arms crossed, saying nothing. Seriously, ghosting me forever because of a party? It wasn't about the stupid party, though. Never was. It was all those times they made me feel like a chore, not someone they actually wanted around. Always giving, 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 and then getting told I was too sensitive when I actually needed something in return. Years I spent shrinking myself so they could feel important. And now that I'm speaking up, suddenly they're freaking out. Not because they care, but because their comfy little world is falling apart. A couple days later, I saw what they were up to. Jake posted some crap about family being messy, but worth fighting for. Amanda jumped in, saying everyone forgets how much they did for me. I didn't even bother replying. Not to Amanda's yelling, not to Jake's social media spin, not to all those guilt-trippy messages flooding my inbox, trying to rewrite history. "You're being unfair," they said. "We're still family. This isn't how adults handle things." The hypocrisy was almost laughable, considering I'd spent years cleaning up their messes, acting like the only grown-up in the room, while they tossed their emotional baggage back and forth. But I couldn't stay quiet anymore. That only let them twist my silence into a childish fit, a phase, or even worse, some kind of betrayal. If I wanted to move on, really move on, I had to control how this whole thing ended. Not just by showing proof, but by being completely done with them. Okay, so I began severing ties they didn't even know were still connected. First, the money stuff. A few years ago, when I landed a decent internship, I started paying for more than just the bills. Mom asked me to add their phones to my family plan, saying it would save everyone some cash. I didn't argue then. Honestly, I was kinda proud, like I was finally doing something that really counted. That same year, Jake's old car died, and I co-signed on a newer one to help him get a delivery gig. Dad said it was just until Jake built up some credit. He never did. Amanda hit me up once for a short-term loan to cover her rent until her online shop took off. I gave her $1,200. She never brought it up again. They figured I'd forgotten. They thought I wouldn't ever make them pay up. They were mistaken. I kicked things off by shutting down the phone account. No heads up, no second chances, just gone. I called the company, explained what was happening, and had all 4 lines mine, theirs, even Amanda's canceled by the end of the week. I moved my number to a new carrier under a business account. Next, I called the car place and told them to stop Jake's payments. The car was still in my name, and he was late on payments, so it wasn't hard to get them to agree. Within 3 days, the car was getting repossessed. And Amanda, I didn't even have to do anything. I had the Venmo receipts. I just sent her a really formal email. It laid out the debt, every single transaction attached, and told her I was sending the whole thing to collections in a month if she didn't set up a payment plan. Zero emotion, just numbers. Honestly, I thought there'd be some drama, but what I got was pure freak out. Jake called me from a number I didn't even recognize. "Dude, what the hell is this?" he yelled. "They're trying to take my car." Mom left a voicemail, completely bawling. "Eli, this is too much. You're ruining everything." Amanda emailed too, said she felt totally blindsided and like I'd betrayed her. Accused me of using money as a weapon against people who cared about me. Cared about me? They didn't care about me. They cared about what I could give them. The cash, the help, me keeping my mouth shut. And now that I was done with all that, they were drowning in the mess they'd created. I kept quiet for another week. Then I wrote one last thing. Not to them, but to everyone else. I wrote a blog post. Not angry, not even looking for revenge, just straight up honest. I talked about growing up in a family where I was supposed to be invisible. How my achievements were downplayed, my big moments overlooked, and all the help I gave was just expected. I didn't name names or get into the little stuff, just the whole truth about the graduation party, the debts, the electricity bills I'd been paying for 3 years. I put it on my personal blog, where hardly anyone was even following me anymore. But within days, people were sharing it, and then sharing it again. It didn't exactly blow up, but it definitely got around. I began hearing from people I hadn't talked to in ages, old teachers, people from school, even neighbors who remembered how much I always looked out for my family. Almost all of them said the same thing. I was clueless. "You always seemed so strong." That was the whole point. I always pretended to be okay because I was basically trained to make sure everyone else was comfortable, even while I was desperate for some kind of acknowledgement. But not anymore. About 2 weeks after I posted, Grandma called. I picked up. She didn't say anything for a minute. Then she said something that completely floored me. "They've started actually talking." Really talking, not at me, to each other. "I think your silence did what you never could," she told me. Mom had been forced to reach out to her own siblings, most of whom hadn't been around for years. Jake was putting in extra hours at work. Amanda, apparently, started having flash sales at her store, just to keep up with her credit card bills now that her rent was back to normal. It wasn't about getting back at them. It was like a reality check. I didn't enjoy watching them struggle, but I didn't jump in to fix things either. For once, I wasn't the one cleaning up the mess. I wasn't the backup plan. I was finally free, and I didn't just sit there in that freedom either. I made the most of it. I used the clearer state of mind to concentrate on my career, launched my own freelance tech consulting business, and found clients who respected my time, paid on time, and didn't see me as just a prop for their own success. I traveled for work. Seattle, Boston, and even a bit of time in Berlin. Whenever I spotted a rooftop spot or saw a family snapping graduation pics, the emptiness vanished. I felt complete. I still chat with Grandma. She's the only one who never pressured me to shut up. She sometimes gives me little bits of news. How Jake is getting older, how Mom is calmer these days, how Amanda is finally figuring out budgeting. I don't ask for these things, but I don't discourage her either. I figure she understands I'm not looking for them to make things right. I'm just over it. Someday, maybe way down the road, someone will try to connect, to say they're sorry. Perhaps they'll actually mean it. But by then, I won't be holding my breath. Because feeling better didn't come from hearing an apology. It came from understanding I never needed one to begin with.